Hey, what's up guys, I'm Josh, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Sennheiser IE600. This is a follow-up to their IE300 and their IE900, which I've already reviewed, and for full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of those. Sennheiser also sent out these for a review. No one is paying or asking me to say anything good or bad. All thoughts and opinions, like always, are going to be my own here. Now, the fitment and comfort of these, I'm happy to report, is exactly the same as the 300 and the 900, which is a great thing. This is a relatively low-profile, very comfortable design for an IEM. I actually think that this series is one of the more comfortable series of headphones that I've tried. Now, if you actually look at the design more closely into the construction of it, this has something that I think is quite unique to an IEM. I don't think I've seen personally any other IEM use this, which appears to be some sort of cast metal, which I'm assuming is going to be aluminum. These are a very lightweight design, and initially I was a little concerned that the pitting of the casting would create kind of this uncomfortable feeling in your ear, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like they either ground this down or what the casting process itself resulted in a fairly smooth finish with this kind of textured and detailed exterior. Now, one thing I really like about Sennheiser's sound signature is their tonality. I've liked that in the 300, I like that in their full-size headphones like the IE600. I always think that that's been a big benefit to their sound quality, and I don't think that this is any exception or different than those. This is a very well-performing, tonally balanced headphone, and it seems to be going for not only balanced tonality, but also balanced tuning. So this headphone should be very, very familiar for Sennheiser sound for those of you who are familiar with it. Now, I want to answer a question that I feel like I'm just going to get a lot because of the naming scheme of this. I think a lot of people might be curious if this sounds anything like the HD600, which is the full-size headphone, because this is called the IE600, right? It isn't. I wish it was. I really, really love the HD600, but this is an entirely different type of tuning. I would more equate this more similar to the HD560S tuning and less the 600 tuning. It's a little bit bassier, it's a little bit less forward in the lower mid-range, a little bit more forward in the upper mid-range, and it doesn't quite have that super vocal focus that the HD600 had. Now, unfortunately, personally, I've been looking for an IEM that sounds like an HD600. I was hoping, and I figured if anybody would have the best shot at it, it would be Sennheiser. But so far, I haven't come across an IEM that can replace that headphone. But one of the things that makes it well done is it seems very hand in hand with the rest of the mid-range and the treble response. It doesn't seem to be super overemphasized nor underemphasized. And I actually think that regarding both the 300, the 600, and the 900, those headphones have more bass than the full headphone size equivalents. So they all have more bass than something like an HD800S. They have a bit more bass than something like a 650 or a 600. So they're a bit bassier than those, but still not a super, super bass heavy sound signature without a little bit of balance. And this headphone, I think, is very balanced. And what I would say is that even though the bass is very good and is very well balanced with the rest of the region, I don't necessarily think that bass alone would be the reason to buy this. And this is actually going to be something that I kind of say again and again here, is that each individual component I think is very good, but not necessarily the sole reason to buy it. I think that the reason to buy this would be the overall balanced nature of this headphone, the overall rounded completion of the sound signature. Okay, so for the mid-range, I already talked about the 600 and how it differs from that. Now, a lot of you might have heard that upper mid-range part and assume some level of like shoutiness or over forwardness in the upper mids, but I actually think that the upper mids are handled phenomenally well. They have this awesome ability to capture the essence and the wispiness of an upper end voice without feeding into the sibilance range or the overly sharp or the shouty range. It's actually very well handled. The lower mids, if you give them the right song, they can really shine. Like if you listen to something like Devotional from, I think it's Sivert Hoem, something like that, Hoem something. I apologize for mispronouncing that. If you give it the right song, it can really fill out that region and have a lot of body and texture behind it. But I don't think that it's really gonna quite give into that really lush, warm, complete sound of something like an HD600. I think it's gonna give you a little bit more of a slightly more neutral, balanced sound of something like the 560S, which is a little bit newer. So treble response, similar to most Sennheisers, it's not super, super heavy treble in the top end. You're not really gonna be getting a ton of air. That's basically just Sennheiser's house tuning. That's how they prefer to run it. And I think that for this particular headphone, it really fits the general sound signature of easy, neutral listening. That being said, I really like the general tonality of treble response. I feel like it's good in most areas, but there is one problematic area in metallics. They do sound a bit plasticky and not as shiny and shimmery as I know that they can. A good example of this would be the tambourine and the cymbals in How Deep is the Ocean from Diana Krall. I know it's audiophile and all that fun stuff, but yeah, I kind of get this plasticky sense from the tambourine, and it doesn't sound purely metallic like it should. Imaging and soundstage. This is one of those things where you're gonna get what you feed into this. If you have a super focused song like that devotional song that I was talking about earlier, you will get this incredible presence in the vocal range. You will get this incredible precision to the center imaging, but this is also capable of a pretty good kind of side profile to the sound, where if you have more of a binaural recording that might sound really, really good on speakers, but kind of split for headphones. They do like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is a good example of this. It's pretty good for headphones, but it really shines a lot better on a good pair of speakers. This actually has an amazing imaging capability and placement capability and staging capability on that side profile. So like a lot of the sounds that happen here, this headphone I think is really, really good for. Okay, so my conclusion, and let's talk about pricing. My conclusion is that this headphone is good with very few, I think, critical errors. There's almost nothing that I would consider to be bad on this headphone. But when it comes to the pricing, $700. That's quite a bit to ask for this headphone. At the end of the day, while I enjoy this tuning quite a lot, it doesn't speak to me as being just really, really great. I really enjoyed the IE900. I think at this price, I would personally just save up more and get the IE900. I think it's a lot better in some areas, specifically bass response. That bass really stands out as being good. This is just more neutral. Some people like that. I don't think it's a bad sound, but if you're just gonna ask me if I think it's worth the money, I'd say probably not. I would either get the 300 or the 900. This one is good. I don't have any major complaints about it, but it just doesn't blow my socks off. And for $700, I think it should. All right, guys, I wanna thank you for watching. I wanna thank Sennheiser again for sending this out. And until the next video, my name's Josh, signing off. Peace.